Hello everyone, this is Terry. I'm a practicing astrologer and a tarot reader, and you can always contact me for professional service requests through my links in the profile. So today is 14th of August 2024, and if you are following the astrological content online and on the newspapers, etc., you will see that there would be today I can share my screen and then show you the chart. Hopefully, uh, but I think we can find the truth. Chart here. You can see the chart of today as of nearly this time. And the thing is that there would be this famous is nearly perfect in the Jupiter Mars conjunction in Gemini, and but of course it's not finishing there, because it's like when I looked at the chart for the first time, I was thinking like, wow, that's a great chart for learning the aspects and patterns in astrology. It's something like that, because it's like we have lots of different aspects, different aspect patterns and everything that could give us the idea, but keeping in mind that this chart belongs to a fellow human being as well, so that when making comments on the chart, I personally will keep that in mind. The thing is that when we look at the Jupiter Gemini conjunction at first hand, like I was writing down last night on X, which was Twitter in the past, and then I was thinking like Mars is this my symbol is the warrior that we have in us, and I think in this case I was saying that there is a more like a mental warrior, and that is a and also like the battlefield here is more in our minds, and when we are thinking like Mars meeting Jupiter, getting hand in hand with that, in a way this rational warrior is making its way to it's like, because it's very like enthusiastic to learn more about everything. It's like this drive for learning, understanding, also being more social with the people at the same time. And then there comes the Jupiter in Gemini, which are if we are thinking about it, the curious journey. There's a curious journey. I was explaining when before Jupiter moved into Gemini, I was saying like it's sometimes like going down the rabbit hole. You want to like all this information and everything, but it's like you are collecting, but sometimes it's too much, overwhelming, etc. And you don't know what to do with that, how to sort that kind of data out. But in a way, we can be thinking about this rational barrier starting a curious journey when we think of Mars and Jupiter being in the air sign of Gemini. Also, since it's a mutable sign, we can see this like sudden turns, like not sudden turns, but being able to make necessary changes, being more flexible and adaptable in that sense. Of course, I said Mars is enthusiastic, energetic, but there is this impatience coming through Mars as well. And then Jupiter is about expansion, the growth, but there could be also sometimes arrogance coming through there. And in that sense, I mean, they couple up together. I mean, it can be a very good combination with the energy of Mars, with the Jupiter want to expand, and it's like it's a all mental expansion, and then it's all about communicating, being this medium between uh, people and everything else. So in that sense, it could be something very good. But of course, Gemini can be sometimes restless as well as like this overthinking and at the same time. So we have to think about all the possible options, and also where Gemini is in our charts around these degrees at the same time. So in that sense, we have to consider all these combinations. And also, since I like the idea of decans, we can see that both Jupiter and Mars are in the second decan of Gemini, which is also Mars, the decan ruler. So we can feel this Mars energy more in this unity that is forming between Jupiter and Mars. But later into the conversation of Jupiter and Mars, we have to add Mercury. Why? Because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is in a period that in a slowdown period due to the retrograde period. And the interesting thing is that Mercury would be saying like, nah, leave me alone. I want to reflect on. I would like to think more. I want to really slow down, in contrary to my swiftness and everything. So yeah, we can see the impact on this hand in hand. Let's collaborate. How does it go of Jupiter Mars interaction in the sky? We can see that in a way kind of uh, slowing down, dragging them back, energy of Mercury. But on the other hand, especially in a natal chart, uh, Mercury retrogrades sometimes can be original thinking, because you are thinking twice or thrice, three times. You think more, I mean, before you talk, you articulate things. In that sense, I think that can be really a good impact on this curious and uh, rational journey, and the battle given by Mars and Jupiter together. And but is it the only thing that is going on the sky? No. When we look at here, that Jupiter is now uh, nearly going to exact square with the Saturn. It holds for Mars as well, and the some of the cycles between, especially the much slower moving planets, can have a much more impact. It's like as in the case of Jupiter and Saturn. If some of you would remember that, like Jupiter and Saturn, this cycle, I mean, like that, we have this waxing square, and the cycle started back in December 2020 in the Aquarius, in the 0 degree of Aquarius, and that was completely a new era, especially if you think that that we were already going through all the COVID pandemic and lockdown and everything that was coming through that era as well. And now we are coming to this stage that there is a kind of a that's if you think that that's the seed moment, and now we are going through more through the time that like there's a this kind of action that is going about that seed moment, and also there is kind of a conflict between this I want to expand, no, I want to limit, I want to be free, no, I want to be more, I mean, like, in a way, more conventional, traditional, and not getting out of my known area. So there's kind of conflict. Also, the father and the son, and the parents and the children, and etc. That kind of sometimes, this generational um, conflicts that occur because we have a different mindset with our children. In that sense, it can be amount, of course, we have older siblings that can happen there as well. But the thing is that there's kind of this tension. Yes, we started something together, but now we came to the point that we will act upon, but we have some differences. But if we can solve these differences, or if we can go over this tension, then we can slowly go forward to the culmination point where we can have the full fruition of that seed point. So we have to think about the square between the Jupiter and Saturn in that sense, and also we have to pay attention is that Saturn is retrograde. So it's also like in case of the Mercury, it's more like a period that Saturn is in a break, slowing down and like thinking how it worked, what it achieved, what new structures have been added in this compassionate and also intuitive waters of Pisces. So that's what we have to think about, that it's a kind of a bit of tension between air sign and the water sign, the logic in the heart. In that sense, the logic wants to expand, but the heart is saying that I want to stay contained, and even I can do things, I can achieve things. I would like to do it more following my intuition, my heart, and my connection with the rest of the universe. Just a kind of, I think that conflict can be arising from there, but still, it could be very possible that out of this kind of push and pull effect, kind of tension, some production, productive period can come through. Always we have to think about, I think, these periods, more like, yeah, we can get some challenges that happens in our life all the time, but when we find a way be resilient and persevere at the end of the day, and since this is more talking about going through with the moon involved, mutable, Actually, we have a grand cross, so we are thinking about more like flexible, adaptable, and yeah, like find a way to change our ways to get to that maximum and get the best out of all this pull and push effect between all these planets and what they represent in the sky. So it's, I think, it can be very powerful and very supportive when we reach the end of this a conflicting period. So it might be a really pushing energy rather than hurdle. And adding to that, of course, Mars is also is a bit like might not be that much content what Saturn is doing. Probably at the end of the day, they will come to a point that they will say, okay, we can go ahead. And in the sky of on this chart, we can see that the moon is in Sagittarius, which is a feeling of, this freedom, and which is also, we have to keep in mind that which is also ruled by Jupiter, like in the case of co-ruled by Jupiter and Saturn in Pisces. And in that sense, again, everything goes back to, I think, Jupiter and Mars, and then later Mercury as well. And then when we look at here, it's like we feel the need in a way to break free, be free, and then to explore things. Maybe it's like we will feel much better if we now go out and go for a walk and see new things and find about new places, etc. It can be, I mean, like a physical journey, but at the same time, it can be another type of philosophical journey. But that would make us, I think, emotionally much better in that sense, which may not be so much in sync with the energy that comes together with Jupiter and Mars. But I always see as in this case of the Jupiter, Jupiter, Mars, and Moon, that as also it happens in the full moon period, there is this opposition, the polarity, as if that they want to go to different sides, but it's also how do we deal with this? I mean, there is this side that doesn't agree with me, and one wants to go to the other side, and the other goes to the other side, and in a way, we are talking about something completely different. I mean, like it's like sometimes maybe it's like black and white, but uh, there can be always a way maybe to compromise, no? And how do I turn that black and white into gray? Finding the middle way, finding areas that we can agree on so that we can move together, which could happen. And I think in that sense that Saturn in Pisces, which is retrograde, can be helpful because it's one of the factors that will try to that slow down authority, will try to put these how do I say, the energies that are in polarity with each other and try to put them together in the same direction. And of course, it doesn't finish here, the chart. We have also here, as you can see, this Venus in Virgo, which is also squaring the same moon and Jupiter and Saturn. And again, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which I already explained, that is retrograde, and saying like, leave me alone, let me reflect on. So, and also the same holds, as I mentioned before, for the Jupiter in Gemini and Mars in Gemini. So we are all the time like rolling back all the time to this Jupiter, Mars and Mercury, which are really important in that sense. And in this chart that I'm looking at is the Venus is the ruler, which is disposed by, again, Mercury. So when we look at the Venus like holding these sides, I mean, then we have another story. I mean, the polarity is the same, but this time there is this practical love in place. Now it's like the showing, relating to people in a different way, maybe by the service that we give, by the the perfection that we bring to the lives and everything related with that Venus in Virgo. So, and then this would be the power, the charioteer, which we can call as a marionettist as well, like the marionette player that keeps the puppets in place and make sure that everything is in place. But at the end of the day, when we look, it goes for the Jupiter and Mars, and also it goes for the moon. These are really important factors that bring all this conflict sides, all this opposing sides all together, and making out of this something really good that would be important actually in terms of I think creating values and managing values and creating really uh, something that is extraordinary both for ourselves and also for the wider community when we look at this chart. Of course, in our charts, we need to see where the Venus, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini are in that sense. But of course, this really doesn't stop here. We have so much other energies that are going on that would be, for example, when we look at the Mercury, that is the leading planet, in addition to being the dispositor of many factors in the chart of a yod. Like it's a sense of destiny, the fate, something fated that is in a way led by this Mercury in Virgo that is retrograde, which is actually also, like just on the way to move back to sign of Leo. It's like really rethinking about everything that we do in our rituals. It can be the services and the way that we communicate, and then what we think about. And also like the analytical way of thinking, the the practical way of thinking, or the, I mean, like the perfection that we require in our way of communication. This is all a reflection period and thinking twice about everything that we do, and it could be very important in that sense, in this yacht structure, which I was telling last night, that again wrote, I think, on Twitter, on X. It's like it was very interesting to see that it reminded me the yacht formed by the Venus retrograde last year around this time. Again the legs were Pluto and Neptune, but Pluto that time was in the last degrees of Capricorn, again retrograde, and Neptune was in, I think, around 27 degrees of Neptune. Sorry, it was 27 degrees of Neptune. I mean, again, retrograde, and I think even I wouldn't say that it resembles exactly the same thing, but it could have the same effect in different parts of our lives in that sense. And in addition to this, I was looking the other way, that the Uranus being impactful around this minor grand trine here, again being in contact with the Pluto and adding the Neptune here. I'm trying to see if we have any kite here, but I don't see any kite formation since we don't have really grand trine. Anyways, I mean, I think that's all I would be telling. I mean, it's like there are lots of things going on that would mostly be affecting the mid degrees of the mutable signs, and later the, I mean, what happens on the around the 19th of August. It's like, because there would be the, in the later degrees of Leo, there could be more in touch with between, for example, Uranus and Sun, which is already there. The square is happening. That means that there is kind of a sudden and conflicting changes that could be coming to relate to our self-expression, creative self-expression, and some structural changes that would be happening in different areas of our lives where we have Leo and Taurus in our charts. Of course, it would be affecting the last degrees of the fixed placements in our natal charts. If you have any placements in Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius in the late degrees of in the late degrees of these fixed signs, then we can see the impact of the sudden changes that might come through Uranus. But it's like, I believe that, I mean, this square that can be coming through, even it can be like a shock effect, like in Howard Sparta's book, it was mentioned. It's like, it can be like a wake-up call. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes we need to get shaken up around about certain things, which could have a in long term also positive effect on our lives. So we have to all consider this, of course, everything with a pinch of salt, but from a more maybe positive sense of approach. Of course, also the rest of the structure of our natal charts, how these can play a role in our lives. we have to also see them individually in our natal charts as well. So it's always good to have a meeting about that individually, which you are welcome to get from me. And I think that's the general thing about this around 4 or 5 days. Also, of course, there would be full moon in Aquarius on the 19th of August, which means that there would be opposition between the moon in Aquarius and sun in Leo around the 27 degrees, 27, I think 14, 15 minutes. And that's really interesting. I will be talking about or writing about that more later, because it's like after the moon makes that last contact in the sky, which would be also with Uranus as well. And Uranus would be like, in a way, the making that, if I'm not mistaken, I have to look at the chart again, that T square, which is a fixed T square, which there could be a bit more resilience there. Like the resistance there, resistance there because of the fixed energy as well. But that after the last contact the moon makes, it will be void. It won't be having any more touch with the sky. So that's also really interesting, because it's like we are talking about minutes, what it could mean about that full moon. That's something that I would like to reflect on. I don't know if you have any more questions. By the way, I have a background with the drawings and everything on my children, especially my daughter. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything to ask about, you may always get into contact with me. So I hope that it has been a useful video for all of you. I wish all the best. See you another time. Bye bye.